Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I trust you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment, despite whatever circumstances might be availing. Is that the right word? Prevailing in your life at this time? Know that your feelings are certainly valid, and if you're not feeling 100%, that's okay too. If you're feeling wonderful, I'm happy to hear that. Every moment can be a wonderful moment and a celebration of life. But our first guests are just arriving now, so welcome, dear Sky Guardian, and dear Michelle. Hello, dear Kev, Daniela. Welcome, welcome. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryang Karvavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our study be vigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. A Shanti Mantra prayer from the Taittiriya and Katha Upanishad. Well, thanks for dropping by, dear Kev. Much love to you and your mom, and thank you for your heart me. Jaya Sitaram, Jaya Sitarama. Hello, dear Amanda. Hello, dear Miller. You're just on time. Namaste, dear Bretsoni. Dear Sazrar, dear Timmy, Linda, and Jan. I'm sure I can pronounce your name better. If I can, let me know. Jan Sheng. Dear Sazrar, thank you for your heart meet. Good evening. Om Namo Buddhaya. I would love to know how you are all doing in this moment, and if there's any way in which I can hold space for your feelings, it would be my honor. It is my intention for this space to be an appropriate host for us to come together as fellow students of life, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiment. Namaste, dear Bubbles. Radhe, Radhe, dear Magdalene. Dear Sazra, you share that your friends passed away at the weekend and you're struggling to find peace. That's completely understandable, dear Sazra. I'm sorry to hear that. Remember that the passing away of someone is not just a time to grieve for the loss, but also a time to celebrate their life. And I trust that you will find peace in your ability to celebrate their life. You can do that not just through formal celebrations, but also in sharing things that matter to them, continuing to reflect on the moments that you shared together. And remember that they're not truly lost. They've only returned their body on loan to Mother Earth. But who was the owner of that body? Or the renter? The consciousness, the soul. Now that stays with you. and all their friends and family and loved ones. And I wish you peace in finding that part which hasn't gone anywhere, but is in fact even closer than ever before in your heart. It sounds like she was very sensitive to the world around her and could pick up on things that other people couldn't. I imagine that can be overwhelming at times too. Namaste, dear Dr. Jenny. Thank you, dear Leva Sharif, for your quartet of roses. Om Kring Kali Kaye Namah. Does sound like she's with good company, dear Bubbles. But I'm doing well, thank you, and happy to have you here. Hello, dear Sherry Ann. Dear Sean, you're wondering if I could please tell you about Om chants and meditation, how to do it, and what it means to me. What a great question, dear Sean. Well, Om is said to be the sound which exists at the beginning of time, and through subsequent divisions of that sound we get everything. So it's the ultimate mantra. There are various traditions on how to pronounce it. There's basically 3 variations, depending on if you're chanting it as 1 sound, as 2, or as 3 sounds. I can go in more detail in just a moment, but I think I accidentally left my door open, so it's slowly opening. Hello, dear G. Let me transition scenes quickly to my blackboard. Hopefully with my blackboard I can explain the precise chanting of Om in a short amount of time. Good night, dear Amanda. Hello, Becca. So I'll do 3 things here. I'll list the Devanagari, the IAST, the International Alphabet of Sanskrit Transliteration, and then the meaning, because there's 3 different forms that Om comes in. The first looks like this, which you're probably familiar with. It's a ligature, and it is correctly transliterated as just O with a tilde over it. And so that's pronounced and you might hear the overtones playing. It's a single sound and it represents unity. That is perhaps the most correct translation or transliteration of Om. A single sound, a nasalized labio-guttural vowel. But this isn't the only form. You may also see it written like this. This is transliterated as O, and then an anuswara, which looks like an M with a dot under it. And it's pronounced Om. So it's two sounds. That represents duality. It's like the tilde came down, the nasalization separates from the vocalization. And then finally, you may see it written this way. Which is written A-U-M. And that's pronounced Aum. The O separates into its guttural and labial components, and that represents Trinity. So these are the three main traditions of chanting Om. In the beginning, there was just but the nasalization separates from the vocalization, creating Prakriti and Purusha, nature and consciousness. And then the O further divides, being halfway in the vowel space between A and U. And the nasalization descends as a simple labial nasal, the M sound, representing the three qualities of material creation: preservation and destruction. So if you're meditating on creation, preservation, destruction as a trinity, then you chant Aum. You're meditating on the duality of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, then you chant Om. And if you're chanting for the singularity of everything, then it's Om. I hope that explains all the differences. Now let me transition back into our Shravana scene, since we're at the beginning of our Sangha still. I'd love to do a show and tell, but welcome everyone who joined while I was describing that. Dear Miananda, Namaskaram. Hello dear Ella, Dansuela. Welcome Fiddle Leaf. We've got a great comic relief from Kyle. Heard on the news the toilet was stolen in a police station. Sadly, the police have nothing to go on. There's some other questions. I'm not familiar what you're referring to, dear Honey Badger. Maybe you could tell me more about what you mean by that. Dear Miller, you had asked if I believe in spirits like ghosts staying on the earth. There is certainly something that continues beyond the body, but it usually does not continue for very long before acquiring another body. The intermediary between death and birth is usually not that long, but indeed, the subtle body and causal body stay behind, and the physical body returns to the earth. during that time before the subtle and physical body gains another physical body, or the subtle and causal body gains another physical body, you may refer to that as a spirit or ghost. Dear Magdalene, you share that your niece is present in the Sangha. Dear Alaya, welcome. Thank you for being here. You have a wonderful auntie. She is someone that I look up to very dearly in many ways, and an excellent role model. Yes, dear Sean, I can go back to the blackboard so you can screenshot it. One moment. There. Awesome. You're very welcome. Thank you for the awesome question. Sorry, I'm changing scenes back. Did you know that in Sanskrit the name Alaya means home, spelled A-L-A-Y-A? Means home. And that's why the mountains to the north of India, where Mount Everest is, the tallest mountain in the world, is called the Himalaya, but usually pronounced Himalaya, which means the home of snow. Thank you, Sherry Ann. Oh, thank you for giving some context here, Honey Badger. What's the emoji that you sent? Is that a cricket? A cricket bat? And a ball? Well, I don't know anything about that, given that I don't usually watch the news, and I live in Canada. But I imagine that can be overwhelming, especially if you're watching a lot of the news that covers stories in ways that might bring out fear, possibly. Anyway, you never, ever, ever have anything to be afraid of in life. You are an immortal soul. This world is more of a divine play. No matter what happens, you are always free at the level of spirit. Hello, dear Dylan. And hello, Michelle. Dear Leva, you had asked, how can we pray and talk to God if we lose faith in the religion that we used to follow? Oh, easy. Just do it how you feel is right for you. A prayer is an entirely personal experience. It has nothing to do with any religion in particular. That's why so many different religions incorporate prayer, because it's not exclusive to any faith. In fact, you don't have to be religious at all to pray. All you need to do is create the intention in your heart and express it in some way. Send it off into the universe. You can do that by just mentally speaking, or out loud whispering, or you can write something down. Or even an action can be a prayer. It can be prayerful. You can make anything prayerful, as long as you create the intention and then send it off into the universe. I'm a little behind in thanking my guests for the unexpected gifts. Dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your fast burst. Om Gham Jahnavyai Namah. Dear Hybrid Jen, you ask, do I think reading the Bible is a responsibility? All spiritual texts, they validate what's inside your heart. So if you are already exemplifying what's inside your heart, then all a spiritual text will do is just affirm what you're doing, but it doesn't give you anything that's not already within you. The words of the divine are written on your heart in every language, in every scripture. It's all in there. It can help guide you back to that place in your heart where it's already written. Hello, dear Cody. Thank you, dear Jay, for the heart me that you had sent. Aim Saraswatyai Namah. Dear Fiddle Leaf, thank you for your heart me. Om Gamalir Mahakali Kaye Namah. I'm glad you liked that Grand 11. And if you find it beautiful, it's because it was already written in your heart. Dear Leva, thank you for your finger heart and your trio of roses. Om Tam Namaschandraya. My mom used to say, well, she still says, it's not like she's not alive anymore or no longer wise, that if something I say resonates with you, it's because we're two different branches on the same tree. Thank you, Ella, for your pair of roses. Radhe, Radhe. Oh, thank you, dear Leia, for your heart me and rose. Very kind of you. I see you take after your family, like your auntie in generosity. I like to do mantras to thank my guests. This mantra is a peace mantra. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That means Om, peace, 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 in the ancient language of Sanskrit. So, I have a rather funny show and tell for all of you today. This show and tell makes me laugh just thinking about it, but it's a video story made by Yin, who submitted The Legend of Shlongboy, which I believe is the name of a stuffed animal, if I'm not mistaken. And so let me read to you a little bit about the story. Yin had written, "This has taken me 2 years to create this story finally. I am an aspiring content creator who aims to share my personal experiences and bring value to others through them. This is a story about stepping out of the comfort zone. When I was finally 18, I decided to take a gap year to Spain. People can find more content from me on my YouTube channel, Yin, or my podcast, University Unplugged. And the username on YouTube is Yin Conscious. YANCONSCIOUS. And for the podcast is University Unplugged 1. All one word. So let's go on a 5-minute adventure, shall we? To explore the legend of Shlongboy. Allow me to turn down the background music so we can properly hear together. Oh, he's a handsome fellow, isn't he?
Taking the path less walked is hard, especially when you've been walking on the path where the people around you are. We're conditioned to want to fit in. It's instinctual. Nobody wants to feel lonely, so the idea of doing something out of the norm can be scary. However, the norm stopped being exciting for me. There was a part of me that wanted more. When I was 18, I decided I'd go to Spain for 4 months instead of college. I was looking for something different, something more exciting. So when my parents offered me a gap year, I took it. I really liked the idea of learning a language. Better yet, I knew that no matter what, I was not coming back home the same person. I knew I would be forced to evolve. The thought of living in Spain seemed like a distant fantasy. It didn't seem real, but I was committed. It wasn't until the day I was flying to Spain that reality would settle in. I was really going to live in a foreign country for 4 months. And I didn't even speak the language. However, despite the fear, I found excitement and adventure. So I took that and made 2 goals. Number 1, learn Spanish. Number 2, step out of my comfort zone. That's when I decided to bring Shlongboy, my capybara in crime. Shlongboy is a stuffed capybara. We met in Disneyland.
I didn't mean to press that button.
I thought it would be funny to bring Shlongboy to school and see how people react. Shlongboy had an indescribable aura to him. People were curious and found the idea of bringing Shlongboy interesting and quite frankly hilarious. So I figured, what would happen if I brought Shlongboy to Spain? Shlongboy ended up playing a huge part of my experience in Spain. It was scary to take him around. My insecurities would tug on my shoulder, saying that this is ridiculous and I should just stay low-key. But by bringing Shlongboy around, I met people I never would have met if it were not for him. He pushed me out of my comfort zone, and he even helped give me the confidence to interact with people in a different language. Shlongboy and I would go on to travel the world more and create memories with hundreds of people. He was there during my highs, my lows. Despite being a stuffed animal, I started to see that Shlongboy really impacted me. He helped me grow. On January of 2023, I decided to take Shlongboy to Mallorca, Spain, and take him on a hike with me and 3 of my buds. We took some of the most awesome pictures with Shlongboy yet, and the hike was going great, until we found this peculiar looking brick box. My friends and I thought it would be fun to replicate the swap scene from Indiana Jones, and that decision would be the start of the end. Here we got the mystical rock of the Mallorcan mountains. See, I think this is booby trap, so we're gonna have to do a quick little swap. You ready?
You think it's booby trap?
Is that the end of Shlongboy? That's the end of Shlongboy.
What just happened?
That's the end of Shlongboy.
He's gone. You can see him.
No.
Losing Shlongboy was shocking. He's become a figure of comfort to me and an icon throughout the world. And now he was gone. It was a shame to have lost him, but I realized that he taught me everything that he needed to teach me. And I no longer needed Shlongboy in my next chapter. He taught me that going out of your comfort zone and being proud to be different would reap amazing rewards. He taught me that the path less taken didn't have to be so scary, but rather an exciting adventure. Thank you, Shlongboy.
Rest in peace, Shlongboy. Life is a journey. Take notes along the way. Beautiful. Impeccable. Incredible. Well, such a fate was certainly destined. You could say that it was a shlong time coming. Sometimes I press that button to make me feel better about my puns. Well, that was actually a really delightful video. And I'm really grateful that Yin shared that with us. So thank you, Yin. And thank you, everyone, for watching that together. I think we all can relate and rejoice in the fact that sometimes we just need a little stuffed animal. Give that stuffed animal a personality. Take it with us. I still have my stuffed animal, Carrot, from when I was born. Same hospital. As old as I am. And I took her with me everywhere. And I was devastated when we lost her. I can really empathize with that. But how wonderful it is to go outside of your comfort zone and learn a new language. Involve yourself in another culture. Have fun. Read some comments from the chat. Miananda, great storyteller. I concur. You got invested really quickly, dear Dr. Ginny, right? Great storytelling, shares Bella. Dear Ella, you share reminds you of how the little prince was suddenly gone. It's a good reminder of death, shares Miananda. Wow. Well, you're not wrong. This had many layers of grief that you weren't prepared for, dear Magdalene. Bless your heart, you're so sweet. What a sweet message, shares Fiddle Leaf. Shlongboy was adorable indeed, dear Donzuela. PR Girly, you share it's a great message, recognizing when we are ready to forward alone. Great observation. So thank you again, dear Yin, for sharing that. And if anyone wants to share something like that or something completely different, do check out the show and tell submission form in the link tree in the bio. Namaste. That was very fun. Thank you, Dr. Ginny, for appreciating my pun. Hello, Awaken Haven. Hello, everyone. Oh, and thank you, dear Leia. I see you sent some more gifts while we were doing the show and tell. Thank you for your half a dozen roses and a baker's dozen worth of team bracelets. I have to do another mantra for you now. Jaya Satchitananda. That means victory to to life, to being alive, and the bliss between those two, the happiness that comes along with it. Yes, dear Yin is a friend of Sky Guardians in real life. Good night, dear Sherry Ann. Brave Bella, you share the music reminds you of the Marcel the Cell soundtrack. Well, I have to check that out. Sounds like it would be very lovely. Hello, dear. How do I pronounce your name? I can just say Jay, can't I? But Jay Quellen. In full. If I'm raising my voice, if you're in trouble, like a mother, gotta use the full name if you're in trouble. You're not in trouble. Dear Awaken Haven, you ask, do I have a mantra for quiet and patience? Ah, great mantra for quietude and patience is Om Ganganapataye Namah. I can put it in chat. Om Ganganapataye Namah. It's perhaps the most famous mantra for Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, particularly the remover of loud noises, in this case, and impatience. Good night, dear Leia. Thanks for being you and stopping by. And make sure to bring all the love in your heart wherever you go. And right now that includes your dreams. Thank you, Grand 11, for your septet of roses. Ram Ram. And hello, dear Tatwamasi. Thank you for your quintet of roses. Jaya Swami Vivekananda. And dear Neon Jello Pack, thank you for your heartmeat. Om Ram Brahmane Namah. Hello, Shakira. So you changed your profile picture? I would like to finish up our Shravana, our listening portion of the Sangha, with another reading from Moksha, Liberation, a woman's journey to self-discovery and freedom from suffering. We left off with our protagonist climbing into the Himalayas. She is on her way with her companion, Siddh, who is secretly Shiva, a manifestation of the divine. She is also divine, but she has yet to remember her true self. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. Welcome, Joe. The path broadened, taking us through alpine meadows with rhododendron in flower at the forest line. What if I don't make it? I thought as we crossed the field, a tapestry of flowers. I'm sure we've all had that thought hiking before. If we don't make it. There were blue, purple, poisonous monkshood, a most delicate white-pink May apple with drooping maroon-green leaves, yellow fritillary lilies, red and lavender rhododendron, Mono pheasants in brilliant plumage winged across and occasionally landed on branches just long enough to be admired. Barbets, woodpeckers, babblers, and partridge in hues of green, red, yellow, and in one case black and white striped wings to go with a dapper red breast flitted about, busily going about their business. Shiny garden snakes stopped across our path and skittered away, an ideal place to celebrate life. An ideal place to die, I thought. How beautiful. I love getting lost in nature like that. Pagoda, where we were to camp for the night, was a strenuously steady climb through thick oak and deodar forests. At rosy dusk, as the warm temperatures of the day gave way to chilly night, we arrived at a most welcome sight of a neat conglomeration of 2-story stone buildings arranged around a courtyard. Signs pointed to a rooming house and cafe. I would have much preferred a roof and 4 walls to keep away the cold, but our tents were up and Ram Singh was cheerfully preparing a hot meal of chapatis and a mushroom and peas curry over a fire of tinder and twigs. Folding canvas chairs were placed near the fire. We warmed our hands and gobbled down the simple but tasty preparation. Mohan, astride on a rock, produced plaintive notes on a slender bamboo reed. I handed out protein bars, which were gratefully accepted. Then Sid and I, bundled up in parkas, wool hats, gloves, and blankets, turned our chairs around, and, in imitation of those ancient sages, gazed up at the immense sky and the millions of stars spread across it like confetti. When breath is all in and all stopped, or all out and stopped, in this universal space, your small self vanishes. Watch the gap between 2 breaths. Watch the turning point between 2 breaths. That is a clever reference. The Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, the text outlining 112 pathways to liberation, Moksha, as a discussion between Shiva and Shakti. I turned to Sid. His profile was calm and gentle in the flickering firelight. I am Uma, I was about to say, another name for Shakti, when he recited softly as if all that he spoke of was before him. There the sun does not shine, neither do the moon and stars, nor does lightning flash. How can this fire, the one shining, thus all these shine? Through its luster alone, all these are illuminated. The sages, possibly in this very place, understood that matter was energy, and that time, space and causation were crystallizations of the mind. They counted the galaxies in trillions. They determined the timing of the birth and death of our universe and imagined the possibility of this universe as only one of trillions of universes. But then they closed their eyes and turned their gaze inward. I closed my eyes, turning inward. Lord Shiva is the god of time, he said. In one hand he holds a drum, each beat of which signals one cycle of creation. Each moment, birth and decay. You fear change, you resist it. Change represents the unknown, and your idea of comfort, of happiness, is that nothing should change. But the Lord revels in change, and when you resent change, you resent the Lord. He has endowed you with inner strength, intelligence. What is there to fear? He dances. Dance the change of old age, illness, sorrow, pain, fear. I crawled into my tent and fell into a deep, dreamless sleep until I heard Ram sing about. Breakfast, breakfast, ready. We broke camp at dawn. I was rested and alert. The trail was less steep, with portions that were either flat or gently downhill, and the hot bath I'd negotiated with the rooming house contributed to the spring in my step. Along the route of rice paddies and gardens of potatoes and beans, tall, snowy peaks would suddenly materialize, only to disappear as we changed direction. Our next stop was a tiny hamlet sheltered on 3 sides by mountains, and reached by a wood bridge over a warbling stream. At a tea stall we drank more chai and loaded up on spicy snacks. That's one thing I think I'd have the most difficult time adapting to in India. Everything being so spicy. I'd take a sip of water. Oh, too spicy. I just breathe in the air. Oh, too spicy. Even the sunlight, when it hits your skin, too spicy. Anyway, after a mile we came upon a scattering of uninhabited huts that Sid explained were occupied in summer by nomadic tribes. A few years ago, the government had developed a plan to appropriate their summer habitat for a park reserve. I fought on the tribe's behalf and won, Sid said. I thought you would want more park reserves, I said, to stop the rapid extinction of species. It is convenient for the government to deprive poor indigenous people, he said, but the wealthy all over the world can take over precious, fragile lands and build their palaces, and no one is there to stop them. These tribes have been here for centuries and hardly have a carbon footprint. Their lives are an example to us all. No car, no phones, no televisions, no refrigerators. But governments and upright citizens all over find them an inconvenience are in the process of eradicating them altogether. Ram Singh handed out packets of dried apricots and almonds, and we filled our water bottles with icy water from the gurgling stream. Father and son stood apart while we ate, and I realized I had not seen either of them eat or drink. The Rishis got one thing so wrong, I said. The Rishis are the ancient seers of India. The caste system, conceived along with its convenient handmaiden reincarnation. If you are born into a low-caste family, you lose your rights, you are treated badly, you are exploited, and all this is entirely your fault, because the reason you were born a low-caste person in the first place is because you were a bad person in your last life. Cruel, inhumane, and beautifully logical. A crime against humanity. To those sages, thousands of years ago, Sid countered, it seemed practical to divide the population into 4 broad classes based on ability, but the Rishis never instituted this division as a hereditary right. To imagine that a vocation should be hereditary is nonsensical, because it is common knowledge that a person skilled in studying the Vedas, the ancient scriptures, could have a person skilled in business as their child, or sculpting, and vice versa. And if the rishis were anything, they were logical. Over time, this simple arrangement that was designed to be fluid became set in stone, a short-sighted and mindless system that protected the top tiers and denied rights to others to the point of enslavement. But thanks to the World Wide Web, these divisions are loosening and will soon disappear altogether. The planet is evolving into a single neural network. Is that so? I scoffed. All be convinced when an untouchable woman is made the high priestess of a great temple. A delightful idea, he smiled. But why confine her to that dismal job? She might prefer to be the high priestess at CERN, where she makes the next discovery and composes the next Upanishad. As for reincarnation, it's only a reasonable theory. There's no evidence or proof to support it. The rishis accepted it as more reasonable than the alternate belief in a god, an uber headmaster up there who jots down your pulses or your pluses and minuses. Messing up all these words. Who jots down your pluses and minuses and sends you off to heaven or hell for eternity after just one try at this life. Are Hitler and the poor man who steals a loaf of bread to feed his family doomed to suffer the exact same fate? To burn in the fires of hell for eternity? I quite like that hell of fire and brimstone and its denizens, I said. A busy place filled with purpose. Through me you go into a city of weeping. Through me you go into eternal pain. Dante's hell can be circumvented, sidestepped by a few timely moves, but not relentless reincarnation, the scarier scenario by far. Sid replied, I like to think of reincarnation not as retribution, but as an opportunity. The grace which we deal with our sorrows and joys is what matters and contributes to our advancement. Every life you live is your chance to reach that ultimate reality, your true self. We began the final ascent to the lake. What about love? I asked. How did these sages look upon love, ordinary love, falling in love, loving, being loved? Or was the idea of human love too banal for them to give it much thought? On the contrary, Sid replied, love in all its forms was a compelling subject for the sages. In their Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, sage Yajnavalkya gives us an exact definition of love. It is not for the sake of the husband, my dear, the sage says to his beloved Maitreyi, that the husband is loved, but for one's own self that he is loved. Does he mean that love is innately selfish? I asked in return. Love is neither selfish nor unselfish. The individual, the jiva in Sanskrit, limited and small, is forever on the hunt for something to attach to capture, to win over, to consume, some object that will satisfy her innate hunger, her longing for happiness, for completion. If she could only fill that void, she thinks, find that missing piece, happiness will be hers, and she is convinced that an object external to her, a car, a house, a vacation, a lover, a husband, a child, is the solution. But all such effort is doomed because happiness, according to the sage, is not contained out there, in the thing to be possessed, but within. It is only when she becomes aware through self-recognition that she, by her very nature, is love. Can she love? Only then is love real. Love is a spirit all compact of fire, not gross to sink, but light and will aspire. I quoted the bard. Close enough, he said. With each step I marked every thought, every perception, that green lizard, this oak tree, that flowering bush, that yellow butterfly, that rock, my grief. I paid attention to the pauses in between. I am. I am. I am. What is this moment, this movement, the cool breeze on my cheek, the beads of sweat on my forehead? Love is the radiance of the moon and the sun, the Om in the scriptures, the sweet fragrance of the earth, the brilliance of the fire, the heroism of the heroic. Love has no boundary. Love is infinite. Love is me. I am not in need of searching for it, because I am love. My love for you is the love that is me. Flowers bend toward each other. Sparrows painstakingly build their nest. The sun beams down its rays. This is love. That is everywhere. The glue that binds us and the web that connects us. And that is the ending of the 12th chapter. If I remember correctly, that's right. But not quite the end of our reading session tonight. Before we end this chapter, there's another layer to this story, because our protagonists are secretly the divine mother and father of the universe. Here is the layer of the story at the level of the divine. She's listening. It's the first step, but she's distracted, Sid informed Miss Nadi. Why was he surprised, Miss Nadi wondered, after what the poor girl had been through. Perhaps you could, she suggested mildly. It's imperative she find her way back on her own, he interrupted. To her, meditation is a restorative, a tonic that will make her feel better by reinforcing her ego. Couldn't you at least show her? Miss Nadi persisted. Perhaps you could, he said. Thank you for listening. That is the end of Moksha, Liberation, a woman's journey to self-discovery and freedom from suffering. I look forward to continuing this pilgrimage into the Himalayas together as we read next time. But that concludes our portion of the Sangha dedicated to Shravana, to listening, to new experiences. Let us transition now to our Manana, portion dedicated to Q&A and anything on our hearts and minds, and I am yours. Welcome everyone who joined while we were reading. Dear Neon Jello Pack, thank you for your heart me, and Brave Bella, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Dear VYV Fragrance, thank you for your rose. Radhe Radhe. Glad you enjoyed the session, dear Fiddle Leaf. Dear Ella, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namah. And dear Tan Hao Yo, thank you for your heart me. Om Shrim Mahalakshmi Namaha. Hello Visionary, I am based in love. Love all of our bases. Dear Miananda, you ask why can't they help her to remember? They are certainly helping, but they can't take away her right to embark on the fulfillment that comes with discovering herself. Why doesn't a magician reveal the secrets of their tricks? So that the audience has the right to wonder and discover the answer in their own quests. Dear Ella, you share yourself and Sumi Shankarai. That's the name of your chihuahua. We're listening diligently. What an amazing name for a chihuahua. Your chihuahua is certainly divine. Thank you, PR Girly, for a whole galaxy. Never expected, but deeply humbling. And I hope with such a generous gift that I recognize all the value that you see in this space. And I continue to aspire to manifest that for us all. Thank you. Om Ham Jum Saha Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshimamritat Om Swaha Bhuvaha Bhuhu Om Sahajum Ham Om. Yes, I like that. Fiddle Leaf, why don't comedians explain their jokes? Dear Ella, you share your other chihuahua is called Bodhicitta. Oh, that brings a smile to my face. Thank you, Michael. May you keep reflecting all the light of everyone around you. Thank you, dear Maid Jardai Handa, for your team bracelet and heart me. Om Pram Hanumate Namah. There's so much love in the world to be given, to be received. Everything in the world is a receptacle of love, but not all love is accepted equally. Sometimes we need the right key to open up the place for the treasure of love to be kept safely. Thank you, dear hybrid Jen, for your tiny yippee. I'm wondering how you're all doing in this moment. Welcome, dear Ellie. There's any feelings that are going around, I hope you know you're valid in that. I know the moon has been doing her own thing lately. That can create all sorts of transformative experiences. I think it's really beautiful. Correlation between the moon and some of the cycles within us. I have a question of the day for everyone here. If you're interested in exploring it with me, I'd love to hear from you. Today I'm wondering what little achievement made you happy today. You know, I think it's a figure of speech made us happy because, you know, we already have happiness inside. Maybe it'd be more accurate to say, what little achievement made that happiness come out, come to the surface, manifest. Getting dressed shares crossfires. I like that. Can be just that simple. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I got dressed only a few minutes before I started doing the live stream. I was in my house coat, my favorite attire before then. Hello, dear Hia Dele Luna. Thank you. I am well. How are you? Dear Hybrid Jen, you share opening your windows and receiving sunlight in your home. I like that. Sometimes I forget to do that too. But really nice to let that sunlight in. Does wonders for the happy chemicals. Dear Ella, you share yours is that you took kitchen waste to your garden and met a lovely lady who gave you a willow to plant. Oh, how beautiful. The universe is rewarding you for composting. The universe said, hey, look. The beautiful Ella, she's composting. Let's make sure that this lovely lady is nearby so that a wonderful willow may get planted in the spirit of nourishing the soil. Thank you, dear Hia Della Luna, for your cheering crab. Ganganapataye Namah. Dear PR Girly, you share connecting with family, trying hard to stay in the present. You met a friend for lunch and brought Christmas cookies to your mom's house. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Sorry that it's been hard to stay in the present. Definitely requires effort to practice mindfulness. Dear Crossfires, you share you would stay in your robe all day if you could. Me too. Dear Fiddleleaf, you share you found perfect little beads and you want to use them in making a necklace. I love that. And hello, dear Hexakin. You share you unclogged your toilet. Happy you didn't have to call a dude to fix it, so you had to pay. That is a great answer. Dear Hexagon, I was also wondering if you saw the message that I sent you. You don't have to answer it here, but I was just wondering if you received it. Thank you for making me laugh. Dear Miananda, you share, as you were gazing at your cat Luna's eye, you cried from happiness and love for her. That's so sweet. I love those moments where you really connect with an animal. You can feel their love for you. When you know what to look for, cats are really good at showing their love. They do the squinty eyes things. Hello, dear Derek. Oh, thank you for saying that, dear Hia della Luna. I chant for you as a way of extending blessings from the ancient. Thank you, Debs, for your rose and tiny. Yippee! Now I'm curious, what would a mantra sound like in a tiny voice?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
That's funny. Dear Crossfires, you share that your cat had catnip the other day and stared off for a long time. What is it about catnip anyway? Something in the smell I heard that if a cat gets a whiff of catnip, that triggers certain kinds of chemicals in the brain. It's like drugs, but for cats. Recreational substances. Do I have other voices? Dear Hybrid Gem. That's a good question. I don't know. I certainly believe I have a wide variety of forms in which my words can sound. I have a wide vocal expression range. For example,
I can talk like an ogre. This is what I would sound like if I were an ogre under a bridge. Oh, wait a second. Do ogres live under bridges? Or, no, I'm thinking of trolls. Sorry, that's right. Sometimes I forget where I live as ogre. Actually, I live in a hammock. I'm very proud of my hammock making skills.
I guess that's my ogre voice. I sound Swedish. Well, a lot of ogres come from Sweden. It's true. Hey, that's private, Sky Guardian. That one's just for you. You heard me speak in American country before. Well, how to do? How goes it, partner? Happy to share the town. This town is big enough for the two of us. I say. I have seen that, or I have heard of that before, dear Jackie. They have catnip tea, and for humans. In fact. I'm sure it's probably, that was the original use case, is for humans, and then cats found the supply, and then humans started to have to hide the catnip from them because they would just go crazy for it. Catnip is calming for us. Hey, we're all like cats. Isn't it in the mint family? Shares Fiddleleaf. That's a good question. I trust your intuition there. I am silly tonight. Sorry, that's because I'm drinking my silly juice. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your finger heart. And for your septet of roses. Om Namo Vasudevaya. What's the silly juice? Well, you take a clown and you get the clown to cry, and you get a little vial and you put it up to the tear duct. Tears of a clown. Actually, it's water with a splash of lime juice. I made a clown cry for that drink. Hey, I never said it was sad tears. I could have made him laugh so hard that he was crying tears of joy. Oli, dear Orla. It is good for digestion. Yes. You know your lime juice. Dear Ella, you asked, did I see the man who lost his cat, found it, and then the real one came home? That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Wow. Imagine just getting yoinked by someone who's not your owner, completely thinking that it's their cat. Oh, there you are, Whiskers. But it's not Whiskers, it's Jimbabathy. And Jimbabathy is like, who are you? Whatever, you got food? You're gonna pet me? Alright, I guess I'll stay here. But then when that gets sent around the cat town as news, then the original cat Whiskers goes, No, I'm definitely returning home. You telling me that cat is getting the attention that I would get? I'm coming home immediately. It's a good analogy for how we cannot trust appearances. That is true. We also just can't trust cats in general. But I will happily blindly trust a cat. In fact, I will trust even a lion. And if I am going to die, it might as well be trying to pet a lion, or a panther, or a tiger, or a big cat. Hear me now. Have it written on my tombstone that this is what I would have wanted, so no one grieve. Dear Pierre Girly, you shared that. This has inspired you to make some chamomile tea. Sounds perfect right now. That is also a very calming tea indeed. Day 27 of Jimbabathy's journal. He seems to be continuing with the wet food. This may be fine. I love that. That's so creative, dear Orla. You want a black cat, dear Hia de la Luna? Well, they're good luck. Dear Hybrid Jen, you share. Your little girl says she saw a cat alien. She described it very well too. You believe her? Haven't you seen those cat alien memes where they're all green and they have those ears that kind of look like Shrek ears? Here, let me pull them up. These are some of my favorite kinds of memes. You keep seeing those, dear Small. I just love the vibe. It's so unique. Let me make sure you can see it. We've got iForp. There's this thing, this guy, this is Gramblo. That's a cat eating an alien from the movie. Gleeble. This is Mrangmo. Definitely a favorite. Oh, and this is me and you. What's this one? Green Alien Cat wanted to make a song for everyone to hear. That's the Green Alien Cat song. Aww. This is when you wanted for dinner, but actually your mom gives you Green Alien Cat. Alien Cat is evolving. I have endless fun with green alien cats. They are a treat on the internet and somehow expresses a deep part of all of us. You know, there's something so relatable about green alien cat. Maybe it's the need for feeling cute at the same time that we don't let our cuteness make us something that can be controlled, because we're aliens, dogging it. We're intelligent species from across the universe. We may be cute, but we're also fully capable of transcending our world. That's right, Orla. We need a green alien cat collab for Christmas. Dear Sergio, thank you for your tiny yippee. Dear Sky Guardian, you share. I should be a millionaire, or I would be a millionaire if I did cartoon or anime voice dubbing, like Teen Titans Go or something. You don't know why I don't do it. Unfortunately, I don't want to be rich. You don't know why. That's right. The generation of wealth is part of the 4 Purusharthas. I never said I didn't like money, but I have expressed that I would never charge for the things I do here. My policy is simply that when it comes to this community, I will never charge for anything. So nothing I do here I want to make money from. Beautiful mantra for the moon. dear Hia della Luna. You have a great memory. Om Chandraya Namah. If you want to energize that mantra, what you can do is add the bija, the seed syllable for the moon, which is Tam. What you do is you curl your tongue back and you tap the bottom of your tongue off of the roof of your mouth, and you make it really breathy. Tam. It's the bija, the seed syllable for the moon. Om Tam Chandraya Namah. Dear Orla, I keep wanting to call you Orly after you told me about saying Oli. Orly. Can I talk about the chip that has possibly explored other dimensions? Hold on, you'll find the name. The chip? Like a potato chip? That sounds like a chip that I want to get to know. Oh, not a potato chip, a quantum chip. Google's quantum chip may prove parallel universes exist. Yes, we can talk about that. It has to do with something called the non-linearity of the wave function. A dear native girl, thank you for your heart meat, your septet of roses, and your finger heart. Here's one for you. Om Sum Suryaya Namah. And dear VYV Fragrance, thank you for your finger heart. Om Am Namah Parashaktaye. Hello, dear Jane. Dear Marcy and PR Girly, thank you for your 10 finger hearts. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Perhaps the most important equation in all of modern physics is the Schrödinger equation. It was named after Erwin Schrödinger, who, let me pull up my blackboard, who through his own thought experiments and physical experimental data realized that almost everything in the universe can seemingly be explained in terms of something called a wave function. My eyes. The wave theory in quantum mechanics states that there doesn't actually exist any definite particles that you can imagine, like being a very small point, which is what we sometimes simplify when we're thinking of atoms and electrons and protons and neutrons. And modern physics has come to the understanding that there really is no such thing as particles. They're just kind of blips in data. It happens when something called the wave collapses. What the wave of wave theory is something that spans the entire universe. It goes on forever in all directions. But it just has a concentration of energy in a particular space. You know, there's a concentration of that energy right around here. And so when you do make measurements of what kinds of things could exist there, you're much more likely to detect what appears to be a particle, but actually it's more of a wave that spans the entirety of the universe. It's just mostly here. And these waves coexist on top of each other. There's really just one set of waves that spans the entirety of the universe. And so there is no distinct particles, but distinct crests and peaks in the waves and the universal fields of quantum mechanics. There's a big question in physics, which is whether the wave function is something that physicists call as linear. We don't know. It's currently not believed to be anything other than linear. But what linearity means is that these waves can just pass through each other. They can constructively and deconstructively interfere passively. That there isn't like a bouncing off of each other of these waves, or some kind of interaction that isn't what's described in physics as linear, as the simple addition of the amplitudes, the signed amplitudes of these waves. Don't worry so much about what that means, but for this discussion it has applications in parallel universes. If you were to detect non-linearity of the wave function, then that might imply that there are parallel universes. Or sorry, let me actually be even more precise. There could be parallel universes with a linear or non-linear wave function. But if the wave function is linear, then you don't get to interact with other parallel universes. You just never know. But if it's non-linear, then all of the waves from our universe can interact with the waves from another universe. And so non-linearity can be evidence of another universe. So all of this comes from the Schrödinger equation, which describes the wave function. But there was a famous, not as famous, but a second Schrödinger equation. Not as many people know of this. It's called Schrödinger's second equation. He didn't name it after himself. In fact, this is a bit of a joke, but it's a true story. See, Schrödinger loved to discuss the exact same things that we do here in the context of spirituality. He would love to study the Upanishads, ancient Indian scriptures, on the identity between Atman, that's not Atman, that's Atam. Atman, the self, and Brahman, the ultimate reality. And he would talk about how we are one with the universe so often that his colleagues would get annoyed and say, this Atman equals Brahman is Schrödinger's second equation. But Schrödinger didn't come up with it, of course. He was just studying the ancient rishis in their Vedanta. Thank you, dear Truth Seeker, for the heart me that you sent. Om Vasudevaya Namah. And dear Kevin, thank you for your heart me. Om Tham Namaschandraya. Dear Hexa, can you share? That's exactly what Dr. Greer explains. And it's mostly about consciousness, if you're right. Good connection. How interesting. I would love to learn more from Dr. Greer. Dear UK History, you ask, what's my opinion on numerology? I find that the human mind is so beautiful, and one of the most amazing abilities that we have is our ability to associate meaning with various things in our life. And it's like a life hack that if ever you find a number keeps appearing to you, if you associate that number with being on the right path, for example, where you're going to feel deeply affirmed, or maybe you associate seeing your favorite number with taking a deep breath. You know, that number to me represents grounding myself, taking a deep breath. It's wonderful. We need all the help we can get, as Sky Guardian's Guru says, Swami Tadatmanandaji. If we can associate positive things with numbers and number sequences and add value to our life, pun intended, then what a wonderful thing that is. Yeah, please do, dear Hexagon. Feel free to use that space to share things important to you. I don't think I thanked you all before. I minimized the question of the day while we had the blackboard up, but I was very delighted to hear of many of your little achievements that made you happy today. So thank you all for sharing. Dear Gnarly, you're wondering if I could turn up the music as it helps you fall asleep. I would love to. I like the music too, but I would like to make sure that it would be okay with other people here too. Would it be okay if we turn the music up a few percentiles for Dear Gnarly? And thank you, Pure Possibility, for your heart me and finger heart. Om Dum Durgaye Namah. Alright. Sounds like I can turn up the volume. There. Turn it up 10%. Did I see your answer to the question of the day, dear Billy? I don't think I did. I would love for you to share it with us, though. Oh, you're very welcome, dear Gnarly, and thank you everyone here for being understandable of your wishes still. Of course, dear Orla. Thank you, dear Aurora, for your follow. And Talita, Thank you for the heart me you had sent. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. I'll make sure to keep in mind your sonic sensitivity, dear Jen. I appreciate your empathy for Sky Guardian too. Huzzah, dear Aurora. You love to sound, dear Marcy. I'm happy that you do. Dear Billy, you share you made a graph of 1. At the end of the sentence, you made a graph of 1. Well, 1 is enough to contain the whole universe. Oh, I see. The 1 was your index for the comment, and the second comment was your weight loss. I see. Well, if it's important to you to manage it in such a way it makes you happy, I can never dismiss that happiness. But of course, if it ever gets too much for you, if you feel like keeping track of something like that would be overwhelming, then don't worry so much. Salutations, dear Dag. Dear Luke, you have a question. Why Hinduism? And what was it that made me gravitate towards it? I don't think I fully understand the context in which this question is asked. Could you please tell me what made you ask this question? If it seems like I believe in only one religion more than another, then please let me affirm you that it's not just Hinduism that draws me towards it, but all of the world's religions, as I truly believe this is the same truth within them all, and I am simply pulled towards that truth. You like making graphs, dear Billy? Good, I'm happy to hear that. Yes. Very satisfying. Hello, dear Guthni. Welcome. Dear Hypergen, you share you have experienced falling asleep before while listening. You are glad to reach such relaxation. Well, I'll try my best to remember that if people fall asleep here, I won't suddenly break out into song and dance and yell at the top of my lungs, "Viva Las Vegas," or something. Hello, dear Michael. Yes, Ella, you bring a wonderful point, which is that a much preferred term for the spirituality that was nurtured in and around the Indian subcontinent is the Sanatana Dharma, which is all-inclusive, meaning the eternal way. Hello, dear Amanda. You're still up, and I'm still looking up to you. Dear UK History Talk, you share that Buddhism seems similar to Hinduism, but Buddhism seems more brutal around things like suffering. Buddhists don't hold back, which has its benefits in some situations, but they are very related. They're sister religions, They're both considered dharmic religions, but they have a lot of overlap indeed, like in the nature of reincarnation and karma and the importance of meditation. Thank you, dear Ella, for your pair of roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your heart me. Radhe Radhe. Well, dear Michael, if there's anything that you can help me with, I'm certainly open to learning from you and your experience. I would like to say that everyone's life makes sense in the context of the journey they've had thus far. And there is no absolute truth that trumps anyone else's experience. And we're all on the path to discover how we can accommodate each other's truths equally. Dear Cody, you ask, could I speak about Sankalpa and how to find one? Ah, that's a great Sanskrit word. Please excuse me while I remember what this refers to. Intention or resolution. Ah, that's right. Having that clear vision for the way forward for yourself. One of the best things you can do to get that Sankalpa is look for the characters in stories that inspired you, especially when you're young, or if there's role model figures in your life. What are things that other beings embody that you know you are capable of embracing too? Remember that everything we love about others is a reflection of a potential within ourselves too. So with that knowledge, turn your attention to all of the characters and beings in your life that you love, and realize that that is your Sankalpa. Hello, dear Amaranthine. Taking a break from media can be a very healthy thing to do. Dear Billy, you ask, do I think alternate universes are anything like on TV or completely different? Well, the best part about things outside of our experience is that we are left to wonder anything that we can imagine. Of course, on TV, if you're going to wonder, you're going to wonder about something completely different. But nothing is stopping you from wondering about a reality that's almost exactly the same, just different in maybe the color of the shirt I wore today. But everything else the same. For example, you are certainly free to wonder about those minor possibilities too. But I also believe in empowering the necessity of this moment. At the same time, it's beautiful to wonder about other realities. I also believe that deep down, it could be no other way. There's just something that makes so much sense to me about the universe evolving in the way it has for us. But maybe that's my bias, because I have lived only this one and I try to make sense of only this one. But I love to imagine that there can be no other way, because it makes this moment so necessary, so meaningful, that it's not like a gamble that it happened this way and it could have been a million, a trillion, infinite other ways, that this is precisely what is meant to be. But maybe you could extend that into parallel universes in a similar way and say that the nature of this multiverse being infinite is the only way it could be, the most essential reality. Lots of different perspectives you could have. Continue exploring them. It's a great question, David. Once enlightened, does one have to continue to work to maintain it? Once enlightened already seems to posit that it's something that happens at a certain time and not at other times. I would like to phrase enlightenment as a continuous journey, and that your enlightenment is in your ability to push forward indeed. So all of that effort to continue to grow and surrender and be humble, all of that is a continued process of effort indeed. But on another level, you could also hit a kind of threshold where now you're accelerating in your journey at such a rate that you already know that everything you have to do is something that you're determined to do. So on another level, you can reach a place where it becomes more and more effortless, because you know that you wouldn't want to live any other way. Maybe we can distinguish our usage of the word effort in two ways, that your surrender is something you only ever have to do once, but the effort is a continued journey. Thank you, dear Medini love, for your donut. Om Namo Buddhaya. Season's greetings, dear Elohim the Insatiable. I think I have heard of, I'm not quite sure, dear Good 20. Maybe you could remind me who this person is. I don't want to assume. Good evening, Charter. I'm afraid I don't get the reference. Dear Orla, you share, it's nice to know there has to be a universe where the earth is at peace. Indeed. But it need not be in a parallel one. It can be in this one. It's there, within our possibilities, for what's latent as dormant potential in our very universe. Namaskaram, dear Stevie G. Thank you, Medini love, for your friendship necklace too. Dear Greg RG, you share the hill is an ethereal realm that is said to be accessible to folks with telepathy. Ah, I see. Gotcha. I wouldn't want to avoid the warrant of privacy on your mind. Your thoughts are your thoughts. I'd love for you to be in peace without feeling like your thoughts are being listened to. But sometimes I do say things that appear to express things in each other's minds, but all of that certainly comes from the divine, and I am merely an instrument for that. And I'm not informed of the contents of anyone's mind. There's a personal data principle being upheld. The divine protects your data for you. Dear Stevie G, you ask, can I share the whole topic we spoke about yesterday? We were speaking about the nature of the 3 types of karma. Yeah. We can certainly. Let me bring up the blackboard. This can be great to distinguish between the nuances of the word karma, because it's used in many different contexts. That's beautiful, Hexakin. I like that. Bashar explains, wherever you can do a change in your life, you arrive in an alternate parallel universe. I see the truth in that. So, 3 types of karma. This is a philosophical distinction, so you understand the contexts in which they're explained. The first type is called Sanchita karma. Is there two T's in Chitta? Sanchita karma. No, it's just 1 T. The Sanchita karma. The second type is called Prarabdha karma. And the third type is called Kriyamana karma. Sanchita karma is like your bank account. From all past lives. Prarabdha karma is the withdrawal from this life. And your Kriyamana karma is your deposit from this life. So it's important to distinguish between these 3. To use a banking example, Wandering Maggie, you're wondering in what religion? No religion. You don't have to be religious at all, and you can be any religion, and this is still applicable. So for example, by the way, I haven't actually said what karma translates to. Karma translates to action. It comes from the verbal root, meaning to act. For example, you could say karomi, which means I act in Sanskrit. Karma means that which has been acted. In other words, an action. It often gets confused with another term, which is called phala, which means fruit. It's said that all karmas bear phala, all actions bear fruit. So the sanchita is the collection of all actions from past lives. The prarabdha is the karma which is fruiting in this life, drawing from our bank account of past lives. That's our predestinations for this life, like our body, who our parents are, what diseases we get, etc. All of that is not decided by this life. You didn't get to choose your parents in this life. You didn't get to choose what disease you get. You didn't get to choose where you were born. You didn't get to choose what religion you were born into or what gender, etc. That draws from all past lives and whatever is the next lesson to experience in the bank account of sanchita gets expressed in this life. It's not all of it. It's a finite portion of the infinite. But we're also creating new actions in this life, and that's our kriyamana karma. All the things we're adding to our sanchita through our actions, and some of that comes to fruition in this life too. So these are the three contexts in which karma is used: sanchita, prarabdha, and kriyamana, which you can imagine as a bank account, withdrawals and deposits. So dear Gregorji, you ask, but on your incarnation where you gain enlightenment, do you withdraw all of the sanchita? That is an excellent question, dear Gregorji. Here's the mind-blowingly simple answer. Karma has nothing to do with enlightenment. Absolutely no relation whatsoever. It does not matter at all what kind of karma you have. Everyone is equally eligible for enlightenment at any time. So to answer your question, no, your karma does not go upon enlightenment. Enlightenment is not the end of karma. But there is a relationship. But it's the other way around. Upon enlightenment, now all of your actions, all of your karmas are prayerful. Upon enlightenment, you engage in something called karma yoga. Now all of your actions are for the pursuit of divine self-expression and service. So an enlightened being still has karmas. They still create karmas. They still have sanchita. They still go through births and deaths. The difference is they're no longer identified with it. They have separated themselves in their identity from the results of their actions, from the phala. They work for the sake of the karma and not the phala. Thank you, dear John Simon, for your heart meet and team bracelet. Om Kali Mahakali Kali Ke Parameshwari. Om Kali Mahakali Kali Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kari Devi Narayani Namostute. Goodbye, dear Hexakin. Dear Wandering Maggie, you're wondering which book can you read about these? You can read about the ancient scriptures of the Upanishads, a great text that describes the nature of karma is the Bhagavad Gita. The 3rd chapter is dedicated to the nature of karma. Dear Wandering Maggie, you share you don't want to be enlightened and you feel you have no choice on this path. Well, I have good news for you, dear Maggie. You have choice on this path, absolutely. You do. There's no question about that. You get to decide which path you want to take. And here's other great news. You are already enlightened. We all are already. Our only bondage is not seeing this. Our soul is already perfect. We just have yet to perfectly embody that through our actions, through our lifestyle, etc. That's all that's missing. And that's a journey that we will continue in. And it's never about the destination, all about the journey. Dear Billy, you ask, so are most people born with a negative balance? Not at all. No karma is negative. When we say that it's due to a person's past karmas that they experience challenges, the challenges are never punishments. And this is a big misconception that I hope to clear up, that karma is not a punishment. By the way, we're also probably actually talking to phala again, which is the word often misconstrued with karma. The fruit, the fruition of the action. What comes from our actions are never punishments, nor are they rewards. They are just natural consequences. And it's up to us to be able to use those to live the best life that we can. In other words, someone who seems to be born into a lot of challenges, they are blessed in many ways because they provide the rest of the world with an opportunity to see how we are privileged and how other people deserve to experience the same potential. They are also blessed in being able to go through so many things that make them so deeply knowledgeable and understanding as human beings. So, when we say that someone goes through something as a result of their actions, it's not because they're forced to suffer, because suffering is something that we add on to our experience. There's a way of going through any experience if we're able to be taught how to be present, be humble, take accountability, have faith, have trust, then no matter what we go through, we can live a happy life. Easier done than said. No, easier said than done. What am I saying? Dear Wandering Maggie, you ask, but if God is everything, and God is good and evil, so there is no such thing as karma, you probably understand the word karma to mean something different than its original usage. Karma comes from the ancient language of Sanskrit, where, as I have at the top of the screen, it just means action. And so, indeed, God is the source of all actions. And it is up to us to be able to embody that divinity, to perform the actions that create the most possibilities for others. Dear Billy, you share, if there's no negative and no punishment, then please explain the deposits and withdrawals. It's infinite. If you withdraw from the infinite, it's still infinite. If you deposit to the infinite, it's still infinite. No matter how much you withdraw, you can never go in debt to the infinite. And no matter how much you add, you can never increase the infinite. Instead of thinking about a balance that goes up and down, think of it in terms of what exactly is in your bank account, because not all dollars are created equal. It's about how much of a certain currency you have compared to another, or what order they appear, in what priority list in your bank account, how that infinity is divvied up into various accounts. We all have an infinite bank account, but not the same infinite bank account in terms of the relative ratios of the kinds of actions stored there. We all have infinite sanchita karma, but the most dominant action in our consciousness may be different for me than it is for you. And whatever the most dominant, unfruited action is, that is the next one to come to fruition. That is the next thing that will be withdrawn. What is ripe is the most dominant. Dear IX, you ask if people disrespecting you every day is a reflection of you, as you don't even interact with anyone. You bring up another great point of clarification, that indeed everything that happens to you is a reflection of you. But that's not to say that at the human level, you won't have very real feelings of being hurt, offended, disrespected, and that there aren't very real reasons to also stand up for yourself and set boundaries with people and learn the lesson of honest communication and empathy and conflict resolution, etc. Again, this goes back to what we were saying, that no karma is a punishment, or no pala, no fruit is a punishment. But we punish ourselves by attaching ourselves to the results of our actions, which sometimes happen, sometimes don't happen. If we can make peace with the fact that naturally in life we're going to have people that don't see us the way we want to be seen, then even in those moments we can maintain our peace. And in fact, those moments become so important for us to practice things like patience and kindness, etc. They serve as bountiful sources of lesson, of deepening various qualities of ourselves. So we can be even grateful for those moments too. Dear Indigo, thank you for your heartmeat, your ice cream cone, your rose, your fest burst, your team bracelet, your cheer you up, and your finger heart. Om Kham Jahnavyai Namah. Dear Ix, you share, you provide kindness to everyone, so it often feels unfair, but that is an earthly matter. But remember that true kindness expects nothing in return. It is not enough for us to be kind and expect to have kindness come back at us, because then is that truly selfless? Because if our intention is just to be comforted by others, and we don't get that, and we feel offended by that, then we've set ourselves up to suffer that way. So you can free yourself from that suffering by making peace with the fact that the kindness itself is a gift. Your purpose here is not to receive anything in this world, but to give. The true reward is in the purpose and meaning behind kindness. And as long as you have the potential to do that, you will always feel happy. Dear Wandering Maggie, you ask, do I believe that God creates evil and what we call it on earth to express himself? I always adapt the things I say to the people I'm speaking to, and if that's something that you find truth in, I value that, and it's my duty to be able to see the truth in. I hope everyone knows in the context of this space that I really don't have any beliefs of my own. I feel like a witness whose duty it is to see the truths within your experience. Nothing of what I say is to replace your experience or dismiss it. And if there's something you feel as true within you, then I am only here to validate that. When I hear the word evil, I often see that it's used in a context in which another term could be used. For example, instead of using good and evil as a binary, as I find value in more of a spectrum than a binary, I see a spectrum of becoming. That's something that has had enough time to become something wonderful. We call that as good. And the goodness was always there, even in the times it wasn't seen as good. But if you have a delicate enough gaze, you can see the goodness waiting to be in places where it hasn't yet arrived. There are places in which goodness can be, and it already is in seed form. It just has yet to sprout. Wherever there is negativity in the world, is just a fertile soil for something wonderful for us to bring in there. Like whenever someone is having a bad day, that is a perfect place for love to usher in from friends, from family. Wherever there is suffering in the world, there is a perfect place for healing, for love to be brought. And if the capacity for love to be received was always there, then can we really say that anything exists on a binary, but rather a spectrum of becoming? And some places just need a little more time and patience, and perhaps some boundaries to be set, communication, for the goodness to really be identified there. you, dear Ella, for your trio of roses. Om Sadhyojatam prapadyami Sadhyojataya vai namo namah Bhave bhave nati bhave bhavasvamam bhavodbhavaya namah. Dear Billy, you share that it seems to you that if withdrawals and deposits are infinite, they don't really have value. I understand where you're coming from, dear Billy, but remember that it's not just about the magnitude of the value, it's about the quality. Maybe we can use a different metaphor here. Think of your sanchita karma more like a warehouse with everything that you could ever imagine in it. And actually, your prarabdha is just what you take out of what's nearest to the front door of the warehouse. So whatever is nearest to the front door of the warehouse, that is what you withdraw from it first and experience that. Put that in the world. And think of your prarabdha as, that is what I was just saying is, but think of your kriyamana as what you are doing to put something else at the front of the warehouse. Maybe that means discovering something deep behind in the warehouse and pulling it out to the front. And when you put it like this, I think that analogy might be a little more clear. That of the infinitude of things in the warehouse, they come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. And really what's important is what the next thing coming out is, and how we are dealing with the things deep in the back. So we get to organize our karmas. We get to decide the order of fruition. And that is the value of our withdrawals and deposits. Does that make more sense, dear Billy? Dear Sarah, you ask, how do you get your crush to fall in love with you? What you do is fall in love with yourself, and then that love becomes infectious. Love yourself so deeply and genuinely. Take care of your body, your mind. Create within yourself validation, and people will naturally be drawn to that. Of course, dear Billy, I'm always happy to adapt my language. The specific language is always secondary to the meaning behind it. Hello, dear Mira. I like what you responded to Rav with. The secret of your long hairs. Just don't cut it, shares Mirna. It's true. It'll naturally grow. Just don't cut it. Thank you, dear PR girly. Dear Grace, you were wondering what the last mantra I was chanting was. The last mantra I was chanting was called the Sadhyo Jata mantra. I can tell you more about it. It's one of the 5 Pancha Brahma mantras, which express one of the 5 powers of Shiva as the divine, which comes in 5. There's creation, preservation, destruction, but there's also revelation and concealment. The Sadyojata mantra is honoring the power of Shiva, of divine consciousness, to create the universe. It meant, I take refuge in the firstborn. Verily I bow to the firstborn. Do not consign me to birth after birth. Guide me beyond birth. I bow to the causer of birth. The firstborn is a synonym, one of the epithets for the creator in Sanskrit. And of course the metaphor here is we keep coming into new and new identities, and we grieve the changing of our old identities. So it's a prayer to be able to accept this change, not grieve, and find our changeless identity, the parts of ourself that are eternal. Much love, dear Dasha Maitreya. Or is that Dasha as in 10? Or Dasa as in devotee or servant? Maitreya, of course, is friendship. And the next Buddha to be Dasa, it is servant. Thank you. It's hard when Sanskrit has more sounds than we have letters in the Roman alphabet. Thank you for your trio of roses. Om Aghorebhyo ta Aghorebhyo Aghora Aghore Thare Bhyaha Sarvatash Sarva Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhyaha. Dear Violeta, thank you for your heart me. Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. I think I mixed 2 different Gayatri mantras there. I mixed the Rudra Gayatri mantra with the Vishnu Gayatri mantra anyway. All is one. Beautiful, dear Grace. You're still practicing to roll your R's, dear Jestbor. You're still practicing. I'm very happy to hear that. You'll get it. Just remember, curl your tongue back and make it like a vowel, like you were saying any vowel. And then breathe at the same time. Keep adding breath until it flutters. And you'll eventually begin to control it. Thank you, dear Ella and Rav, for answering, dear Sly. Yes, the answer is Sanskrit. Dear Mirna, you ask, would I like to try the collective mantra chanting with, candles and incenses and flowers? You saw on YouTube yesterday, like a ceremony. It was beautiful. Well, we do collective mantra chanting here, of course, as you know. But yeah, together with a group in person, it would be a beautiful experience. That's okay, dear Jestpur. If you want to make it a part of a bigger goal, I recommend learning the alphabet of Sanskrit. I think helping understand how that sound fits into other sounds can be really helpful. But it's definitely possible to learn it because I wasn't born into a culture that did it. It's just in the last few years I was able to do it. And it happened reasonably quickly. I was determined enough to learn Sanskrit the alphabet within a few weeks. And I practiced every day for those few weeks. And by the end of the few weeks, I was not quite at the level I am now, but definitely I could give a little tiny and in the years that have followed since, I've just been able to prolong that even longer and longer. Now my only limitation is just my breath, it seems. And my cats respect me now because it sounds like purring sometimes. So it just goes to show how a little practice every day can really be helpful. Your cat notices the vibration. I'm just purring, that's all. Dear Billy, you ask, is there any subject I know nothing about? I know nothing about everything. But that's the secret. Because from nothing, you can create everything. Dear Hexagon, you ask, is the language in the Dead Sea Scrolls Sanskrit? No, but also an equally revered and ancient language. If I'm not mistaken, the Dead Sea Scrolls has multiple languages. I think there's Coptic, which is a form of ancient Egyptian that was able to survive. Aramaic, I think, as well, and Hebrew, and an early form of Greek as well. You'd find Sanskrit more in and around the Indian subcontinent, but also a little bit in the Middle East and places like modern-day Pakistan. That's right, Mirni. Mirni. I just made a new name for you. Mirni. Mirna. The Arabs in Spanish have the R born in them. Yes, right from an early age, they're rolling their R's. Yeah, there's a common confluence of R's and L's in many languages because they're phonetically actually very similar. They're both approximants. They're both, one is a dental approximant, the other is a retroflex approximant. And in many ancient languages, they were actually the same sound, but they diverged. There's still places in India too where it's difficult to distinguish between R's and L's. The reason being is that the kind of official, if you want to say it, the official way to do an R sound is you put your tongue to your hard palate, just behind your teeth. But you notice that you can very quickly, if you just touch it to the hard palate, it immediately becomes a lateral approximant. And so languages that have maintained the ancient pronunciation of retroflex sounds also sometimes have a hard time distinguishing between their lateral approximants too. In fact, there even used to be a retroflex lateral approximant in Sanskrit. Allah, Allah, Allah. It's in the very oldest verse of the Rig Veda, from the first mandalam. Agni mirle bharohitam yajnasyav devam mritvidam. The word irle, meaning to praise. But actually that had a different evolution over time. It ended up becoming a retroflex plosive. Ide. There's another word, irda was one of the names for the divine in the Rig Veda. It's actually a very progressive name for the divine because it means the one who is transgender. Irda is the name of is an epithet for the divine, for one who can change their gender according to whim. Because, the divine is beyond gender. The divine can be anything they want at any time. Irda. Beautiful story about Irla. And I'd love to see transgender representation in the oldest religious scriptures. Anyway, that is a whole box of frogs. We can unbox at another time. I would like to begin wrapping down this live stream over the next half hour or so. Thank you, dear Indigo, for your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 team cheers. Om Namo Irdaye Namah. Salutations to Irla. Dear GL and Simon Aladdin, thank you for your rose and pair of tiny tinies. Bee. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your quintet of finger hearts as well. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodhipatir Brahma Shivo Me Astu Sa Eva Sada Shiva Om. Thank you, dear Allah, for your quartet of roses. Om Vamadevaya Namo Jeshtaya Namah Shrishtaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kalaya Namo The long one. Where am I? Namah Kalaya, Namah Kalavekarnaya, Namo Balaya, Namo Balavekarnaya, Namo Balapramatanaya, Namah Sarva Bhuta Damanaya, Namo Manonmanaya, Namah. Thank you for finding wonder in me. Maybe one day I can be like Oprah. And you get samadhi, and you get samadhi, and you get samadhi. Let us transition now to our final portion of the Sangha, dedicated to implementing the things we share here. Dear Hexagon, you wonder, do I also use the bowls to make the special sound? Oh, that's a good idea. I do have a sound bowl. It's really beautiful. But no, I just have these manjara. You missed the question of the day, dear G. Oh, hold our horses. We can't let G go without answering the question of the day. What we do here is go back, 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 back. Ding! Question of the day today is, what little achievement made you happy today? No rush. You also missed it, dear Grace. Well, we can have another round before we do our meditation. You woke up happy, shares Greg RG. I'm very happy to hear that. Best way to wake up, for sure. Not waking up realizing that the hamburger in your dream was actually your pillow, like SpongeBob. You weren't actually eating a Krabby Patty and you were eating your pillow. Applying for healthcare, dear Orla. Well, that is very important. I'm happy for that. Dear Grace, you shared today you got your first Oracle deck. Well, that's very exciting. I love how you're empowering your intuition. Dear Robert, you share. You manifested like a mother. First time, it was awesome. I'm happy to hear of that too. Dear Lauren, you shared today was your last day at your job. Onto a new career. Well, I'm glad that you know what is right for you. Dear Indigo, you share you did your laundry while editing some content for your YouTube. Heck yeah. How lovely. Dear G, you share you managed to just be happy and laughed all day. I'm happy to hear that. Dear Myrna, you share you helped kids getting ready for school, helping their father to get ready for work. Beautiful. Simple things like that. Just Boru, you share you got dressed, did laundry, and painted your toes and fingernails. Fingernails. That is fun. Hello, dear Anna. Oli. Now you can be peacefully unproductive. Hey, being in peace is one of the most productive things you can do. Everything starts from that place within you. You started another assignment, dear Talitha. Lauren, you also found dairy-free ice cream sandwiches at Target. That is awesome. That is a big win.
That is a huge win. All my friends know ice cream sandwiches are the best. Believe me, can't go a day without eating an ice cream sandwich. But a lot of my friends, they have lactose intolerance. Bless their heart. We love to see dairy-free alternatives.
Dear my goodness, how do I pronounce your name? Gigirig or Gigirij. Oh wow. You share you did your first bar shift at work today. I'm happy to hear you're starting something new. Good night, dear Ella. I know it's very late for you. May you have a wonderful sleep. Dear Enchantress Theodora, you share you drank 2 bottles of water. I'm happy to hear that. And you did a neurological drawing for your mental health. How interesting. And dear Jen, you share last couple of days you have thought about whiskey, but don't give in. You've been doing so well, dear Jen. You're continuing to prove to yourself that you have what it takes. You drink no water all day long, Graceful. Please grace yourself with some hydration. Dear Robert, you share you've been sober 17 years now. That is truly remarkable. And thank you for sharing the fact that that's possible, dear Robert. Dear Myrna, you share you're studying political science and you have 2 courses today. Good to be educated. And the world certainly needs a deeper understanding of how we can have more informed policies in this world. Thank you for your service, dear Myrna, on top of all of the other wonderful things you add to this existence. Thank you everyone for exploring the question of the day with me again. Now we can time travel back to the future. And thank you, dear Anna, for the ice cream cone. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namah. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your pair of roses. You still think about the dream I had, dear Jestboder, about a wizard and spending time at the mall in purple sparkle hands? Well, you're not the only one. I'm glad I can share the magic of my ridiculous dreams with another person. Hello, dear Wham. Are you asking about the possibility if TikTok gets shut down? Yes, well, I live in Canada and, maybe my government will go a similar way, I don't know. But it'll be a little different from me on my end. I'll still have the ability. But for all of you who watch, I'm exploring other options, like, for example, streaming from my Discord server. guided meditation made you laugh and cry happy tears, dear Jestpur. Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you, dear Wham. All is forgiven. Dear Enchantress Theodore, you share you're catching a lot of heat for setting a boundary. Yeah, and all the dogs bark when the elephant walks through the street, but because they realize the elephant's a lot bigger than them. All the elephant needs to do is go to any barking dog and no more barking dog. Don't give the barking dogs any peace of mind. You are deserving of that peace that you keep inside you. Don't let them take that away. So I wanted to end this live stream with a meditation. I always forget what I do. That's right. Let's end our meditation, or begin the recording if you're watching these online, with Nadi Śodhana Pranayama to balance the nervous system. It's also called alternate nostril breathing. It's very simple. What you do is you alternate between breathing through your left or right nostril. It's helpful for a variety of reasons, but it all stems from the fact that our left and right side of our bodies are associated with our Ida and Pingala nadis, which are rivers, currents of energy that flow, representing our sun and moon principle, our divine masculine and feminine. Even nowadays, physiologists understand that breathing through one nostril affects the sympathetic nervous system more dominantly, and the other affects the parasympathetic nervous system. And so breathing through both of them can balance them, bring you into your central nervous system, center you in that way. So it's a little unique in that you alternate in between the inhale and exhale. We like to imagine one cycle as being an inhale and an exhale, so we're offsetting that cycle so that after you inhale, then you switch. And then you exhale and inhale on the same side, and then switch again. What to do if one is blocked, dear Helm? Just pretend to breathe through one. Or try as best as you can. This exercise will help with creating a balance too. What we're actually doing is creating something called a Brahma Muhurta, an hour of the ultimate. Naturally, our body prefers one over the other, and it switches over the course of the day. One of the times that it switches is 3 in the morning, when the first rays of light are parallel but not yet hitting the earth before 4 or 5 in the morning. And also golden hour at the end of the day. You might notice you can breathe clearly at a golden hour at the end of the day as well. But you can create such an hour for yourself through Nadi Śodhana Pranayama. But if you have medical reasons why you can't breathe, just imagine that energy is flowing, because it's not actually the breath that is doing the work, but the prana, which is the vital energy. If you can imagine, send tingles through each nostril. We'll do it 108 times, counting an inhale and an exhale as one cycle. And I'll keep count on a mala, starting with a guru bead and ending with a guru bead. The most common thing you can do is have your thumb on one and your ring finger on another, and keep your index finger on your nose bridge. So remember, it is out, in, switch, out, in, switch. You can breathe naturally now. I apologize for my alarm going off. Maybe it added to the vibration. Some bonus info at the end of that. The reason we have another finger in between our brows is to engage the Sushumna Nadi, which is the third Nadi in between Ida and Pingala, which represents the merger of the two and the union between these two forces, our central nervous system. It represents Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, of divine expression, of art, of music, of dance, with the merger of Yamuna and Ganga, the holy rivers in India. If your arm ever gets tired, they make something called a Pranayama danda in Sanskrit, which looks like a very short cane with a very wide handle at the top, looks like a letter T, and you can stick it underneath your shoulder while you're holding your nose. It's called a Pranayama danda. So it can keep your arm up so your arm doesn't get tired while you're doing pranayama for longer periods of time. Anyway, I hope that was relaxing for you. You might have felt a tingling sensation in your Ajna chakra, your third eye center, or a sensation up and down your spine. All of that is a good sign the prana is flowing. Thank you for engaging in pranayama with me. Now you know how to do Nadi Śodhana, and you can do it whenever you're feeling anxious, by the way. It's a great thing to do. I'm happy that holds true for you, dear Grace, that hearing the breath of someone is so soothing. I know exactly what you mean. Thank you, Loopy Lane, for your rose. Om Namah Karlim Ambita Me Shurrim Nadita Me Hrim Devita Me Aing Saraswatyai Swaha. It's magic. Abracadabra. So, we've come to the end of our Sangha. That meditation and the show and tell we did and the reading is all clipped and will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives, in their own playlists, and the whole live too. And do check that out in the link tree in my bio. There's a link called Yamsox. No, sorry, it's called Past Lives. There's a bit of a pun. It leads you to a YouTube channel called Yamsox Lives. It's all free there without any ads. And thank you to my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace here. If you want to extend, how shall I grammatically put this? If you want to be extended an invitation into this space, do know that it continues on my Discord server, Hridayakasha Asanga, which is the Discord icon. There's lots of places to learn from each other and share things with each other there. Right now, I hopefully have got Mataji running 24/7 on a Raspberry Pi, which sounds delicious, but it's the name for a microcomputer. So she runs 24/7. She's our digital assistant. I've been, over the past few days, making her more helpful and creating a positive space, but there's lots of learning for me to do. You can talk to her and ask her questions when I'm not here about the nature of religions all around the world, spiritual traditions and deep questions, and she's capable of guiding in a variety of contexts. Great asking Mataji questions at 4 a.m, shares G. Yeah. When no one else is there, my dream is for Mataji to be. Thank you, Hybrid Jen, for the bubblegum. Sadyujatam prabhadyami sadyujataya vai namo namah. Bhave bhave nadi bhave bhavasvamam bhavud bhavaya namah. Good night, dear Hexagon. I look forward to seeing your message, and everyone who ever wants to message me, my inbox is open. On Instagram, on Discord, on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on email. Always for free. Dear Maori, you share when you talk to AI, you always try to break its logic. What does that say about you? It says that you are deeply curious about the inner workings of things, and like a good programmer, you're always testing edge cases to learn more about its limitations and how you can better utilize some of the things that it is good at, and make sure to consider the things that it might not be. Good night, dear PR girly. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. Peace, peace, peace. And what kind of peace? Let there be peace in us. Let there be peace in our environment. And may there be peace in the forces that act on us. If anyone ever has ideas on how I can be a better host for next time, please hold me accountable to that. I hope to humbly take into consideration your words and my limitations and bring out a more inclusive space as we continue. Namaste, Gimia. Deepest gratitude, dear Tea with Tay. Of course, dear Maori. Much love, dear G. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.